We are kicking off a series of messages today dealing with the subject of finances. And I believe that as God would have it, this will be a message that I believe will prick some hearts. It will step on some toes. It will hurt some feelings. But I believe that when God does that, He's really preparing us for greater in our lives. And so we're going to kick off this series today. There'll be a brief pause on next week as we minister a message specific for the Hampton High School football team. And then we will pick back up on financial teaching in week 3. But before we give the title for today's message, I want you to witness some quotes that we will have on the screen that I want to read to you. And they're quotes about money. How many, let me ask a question. How many think they know a little something about money? Not a whole lot of hands going up. How many think you know just a little bit of something about money? Okay. How many know how to spend it? Let me put that up there. Now, every hand in here go up, right? How many know how to earn it? Okay. All right. How many know how to save it? And how many know how to invest it? Okay. All right. Good. So there's some knowledge or some understanding of money. But let's look at some quotes before we get into what we're going to be dealing with in the subject matter. Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, "Money has never made man happy, nor will it. There's nothing in its nature to produce happiness. The more of it one has, the more one wants." Then Richard DeVos, he's quoted as saying this about money. He said, "Money cannot buy peace of mind. It cannot heal ruptured relationships or build meaning into a life that has none." I like what Voltaire said. He said, "Don't think money does everything, or you're going to end up doing everything for money." Huh. And then P.T. Barnum. How many are familiar with Barnum and Bailey circus fame? Okay. This is what P.T. Barnum said. This was incredible. Very simple statement. He said this: "Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant." Let me hit you with that one again. Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. We do all that to lead into our title for this series, which is going to be Your Relationship with Money. Your relationship with money. Now, I'm going to be walking around. I may even, from time to time, step off the pulpit. I may touch a person or two as we throughout this series, because God says engage the people, engage them as we talk about this subject matter. This is a subject that oftentimes people don't want to hear about in church. I'm cool hearing about it everywhere else, but in the church, where really this is where we should hear about it. And so we're going to deal with your relationship with money. And there's something that's going to be asked throughout today's message that we're going to continue to ask throughout. But we got to ask it starting now. Are you the master of your money, or does your money master you? It's like, are you the master of your money, or does your money master you? When you look at Matthew 6:24, it says, "No one can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other." Jesus says you cannot serve God and mammon. Now, we're not going to get too far ahead before we really deal with two important words in this verse, mammon, and we're going to deal with master. Somebody say mammon. Somebody say master. These are two key words in this verse that we got to deal with. There's a third one we're going to deal with toward the end. But mammon and master, we've got to get an understanding of what those words mean so we can understand what Jesus is trying to tell to us. So look at this. He says you cannot serve mammon and or God. Watch this. Jesus uses the word mammon, and it's derived from a Greek word pronounced mammonos. Somebody say mammonos. Now, what does mammonos mean? What does mammon mean? Mammon means earthly riches. Mammon means wealth. Mammon means money. Okay? So, mammon is earthly riches. Mammon is money. Mammon is riches that you find here on earth. But there's another word he uses. He uses the word masters. And let's figure out what that word masters mean. It's derived from the Greek word kurios. Somebody say kurios. When you hear the definition of what kurios means, you'll get an understanding of what Jesus is trying to communicate to us. Kurios means supremacy. Let that sink in for a second. Kurios means supreme in authority. Kurios means the controller of. Kurios means, catch this one now, it means God, Lord, or Master. So now, we know what mammon means. We know now what master means. Let's reread this verse using those definitions. Check this out. No one can serve two supreme authorities. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and earthly riches. Let's read it another way. It says, no one can serve two controllers. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. We're going to try it this way. Maybe you'll get it this way. No one can serve two gods. For either you will hate the one and love the other, or else you will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. We're going to get this. We're going to get this. Because it has to be asked, are you the master of your money, or is your money mastering you? And so we got to dig into this, because we got to know, and you got to ask yourself, what is my relationship with money? Money is not your source. Money is a resource. Money was never intended or created by God to be your source. It was meant to be a resource given to you and entrusted to you by God. And so Jesus says we've got to learn to determine who's most important in our lives. Is it God in heaven, or is it money? Are we going to worship God, or are we going to worship money? Are we going to chase after God, or are we going to chase after money? It's going to be quiet, but that's okay. God told me I'm good with that. Matthew 6:24, he says you cannot serve two masters. When someone or something is your master, you got to get this, they control you. When someone is your master, they have rule over you. When something or someone is your master, they tell you what to do. And Jesus says you can't serve him, you can't serve God and serve money at the same time. Somebody's going to get disappointed. Somebody's going to get left out. Somebody's going to get ignored. And so we see in this text, Jesus lays it out for us, because for some, God is not their God, money is their God. And I know this may offend some folk, because I know some folks right now saying, no, that ain't me. I can't believe he's saying that money may be my God. But there's 7 indicators we're going to walk through today that we're going to examine that will either prove whether or not money is your master or God is your master. We're going to start with the first one. Here's the first indicator. Catch this. What do you desire most? To be in the presence of God, or to have the presence of more money in your bank account? Uh-oh. Because do you want more of God, or do you want more money? What do you desire to be in the presence of more? God or more money? Because if it's more money, then money may be your master. Look at this. What do you put your hope in more, God or money? What do you have more faith in, God or money? Because if it's money, then money may be your master. Money may be your God. Let's look at the second indicator. Second indicator, determine whether or not God is your God or money is your God, is this. Who or what do you seek the most? When you get up in the morning, do you seek God first, or you thinking about how you're going to get more money? When you lay your head down at night, do you think about God, or do you think about how them bills going to get paid? Because if you think and your thoughts are solely on money, then money may be your master. Money may be your God. What captures your attention the most, God or money? And does the prospect of having more money get your attention than the prospect of having more of God in your life? Let's look at the third indicator. If your decision making is money oriented, then that probably means money is your master. Okay. If you make decisions solely based on money, then money may be your master. Well, let's see this. How do we do this? Some say, I can't tithe because my bank account says I shouldn't. Some say I can't tithe because my money says I don't have enough to tithe. Some don't tithe because even though God says it's holy to him and it belongs to him, some don't tithe because their bank accounts say if you do that, you're going to come up short. You're looking at somebody that used to be there. I was not always a tither in my life. I used to think like that. I used to say the very same words. But God has delivered me and helped me to understand that I better start doing that, because tithes don't put you in a position to be better. What tithes does, it says, God, I put you before money. I used to be that person. I always tell my story. Back in the day when my wife and I were trying to rededicate our lives back to God, and you know, when you're trying to get back in God's graces and you're trying to do right and relive and try and get yourself back in order, it started with our attendance in God's presence. That's why I don't take God's presence for granted anymore. Because there was a time when it would rain real hard, and I didn't share this before. If it rained real hard, my wife would roll over on a Sunday morning, because Sunday mornings, that's when the bed feels the best. Am I talking to some real folk? Sunday mornings, when that cover just hits you just right, it's just the right temperature, you're just in the right curve, it hits every curve the way you want it to, because that bed's trying to hold you in from going to be in the presence of God. And so when it would rain real good, my wife would roll over and say, are we going to church? And then I had the nerve to ask her, what's the weather like? As if that had anything to do with why I should or shouldn't go to church. And so she said, well, it's raining pretty hard out there. I said, well, tell you what, we're going to sleep in this morning. And she would say, okay, roll back over, and then drift right back into her sleep and into her dreaming. But God got a hold of me, because one day I'm fighting torrential rain to get to work. And I could barely see 5 feet in front of the car. And I'm fighting to get to work, and God, while I'm fighting to get to work, God said, if you can do that to get to work, you can do that to get to my house. He arrested me and convicted me to say, boy, you're trying to do more to be in the presence of work than you are to be in my presence. Fast forward, I'm still trying to rededicate my life. And so I began to go to a ministry called Voice of Faith Ministries in Stone Mountain. And I began to sit under the teaching and the tutelage of then Pastor Gary Hawkins. And he began to teach on giving. And he began teaching. And it was at a point in my life I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to hear about tithes. I didn't want to hear about offerings. And so I kept sitting under the teaching. And then one day, when God blessed us, because God knows me, we went to a store to buy a new big screen TV for a house that we lived in Stone Mountain. Back then, for y'all young folk, the big screen TVs had backs on them. You know, y'all used to these flat screens. But back then, the big screens had these big old backs on them. You had to put them in a corner because they were so big. And so I was so excited to give this electronic company our money for a big screen TV. And God arrested me and dealt with me there. He said, boy, look at your excitement to buy a thing, but you don't have the excitement to give to me. I still bought the TV. I still bought the TV. I'm keeping it real, right? But after we got it home and after we started enjoying it, the more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it, the more God continued to convict me, continued to deal with me. And I was having these conversations with God. Unbeknownst to me, my wife was having the same conversations with God. And so I got up the nerve to go talk to her and say, baby, I think we need to start tithing. She said, oh, my God, I've been having the same conversations with God. Yes, we need to start doing it. And for the last 20-plus years, we've been faithful tithers. It's not to brag. It's to just let you know that God now is more important to me than money. And when you put God first, God will always make sure he puts you first. So the question is, are you the master of your money, or is your money mastering you? Let's look at something else here. Let's look at the fourth indicator. Because again, Jesus asks the question, who are you serving? The fourth indicator is this: does your money influence your emotional state? Does your money influence your emotional state? This is going to hit home here because there's some folk, boy, you know they got money because they happy when they got it. And they sad and mad when they don't have it. You know them. Because, man, when they got money, they the life of the party. But when they don't have it, you don't want to be around them when they don't have it. Because money rules their emotional state. I'm telling on me, y'all. I used to be there. I used to hate it when something needed to be done and I didn't have the finances to get it done. I was no earthly good. Don't talk to me. Don't come around me. Because I was looking at our financial state and looking at our means to take care of something versus looking at the one that I should be dependent on to take care of it. It ruled me emotionally. I remember I told this story too. We had a Volkswagen Fox traveling down the road in a Volkswagen Fox. Miles was a baby. I was driving down in Stone Mountain. Came to a stop. The left side hit the ground, and the wheel kept on going down the road. I was so upset that I had gotten out of the car and forgot that my son was still in the car. God began to show me, boy, you think money is the answer. We're going to deal with that in a minute. Stop letting money rule you emotionally. And so I'm sharing that with somebody here today. Don't let money have that kind of rule over you. Don't let your day, whether it be good or bad, be determined by how much money you got. Because I can promise you, I'm at a place in my life right now, whether I got it, I'm happy, or whether I don't, I'm happy. I can praise God with it, and I can praise God without it. I can thank God when it's good, and I can thank God when it ain't so good. I know where my blessings come from, and it ain't from money, it's from God. So again, does money rule you emotionally? Jesus says you can't serve two masters. Here's the fifth indicator. Here's the fifth indicator. If you believe money will solve all your problems, then money is probably your master. If you are thinking that money is the solution to fix all your issues, you got another thing coming. And money will disappoint you. Money has never solved a problem. Let me say it again. Money has never solved a problem. But God always solves problems. Now, I know some of you saying, well, yeah, but if I had it, I sure could take care of a lot of things. But don't fool yourself. Money will disappoint you. And we're going to show you this in the text because there was somebody in the Bible that thought that the money she had would solve her problems. And she soon found out that that wasn't the case. Don't think that money can't fix your marriage. You can buy all the flowers and gifts you want. It won't fix your relationship. Money can't fix that bad child you got. You can buy them all the Jordans you want. That won't change their behavior. And money can't heal your body. Let's go there. Let's go there because y'all need to see it. Go with me to Mark chapter 5. Mark chapter 5, verse 25. We're going to examine a situation, and we know the story, but we got to see it from this perspective. Mark 5, verse 25. It says, now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years. So here, we're presented with the problem in verse 25. She has an issue of blood for 12 years. Right? Y'all with me? So she has this problem that she needs a solution to. Look at verse 26. Verse 26 says, and had suffered many things from many physicians. So her first indication was, her first thinking was that the physicians will solve my problem. But the physicians were not the answer to her situation. It goes on to say she had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. I think the word of God put that in there for a reason. Because we see here, it was not for lack of money. It was not for a lack of exposure to physicians. She paid copay after copay and still didn't get healed. She sat in office after office, waiting room after waiting room, and still didn't get her healing. As a matter of fact, she spent every dime she had, and the word of God says not only did she not get better, she got worse. Because God wanted to show us and prove to her money won't solve this problem. She got to a point where she was so desperate that she went to the one that could solve her problem. She pressed through the crowd and she said to herself, I done tried everything else. I done spent all I had. I done gone to every doctor I could. Maybe if I just touched the hem of whose garment? The garment of Jesus Christ. Because if anybody can do it, he can. Because clearly money can't. So don't ever think money will solve your problems. Matter of fact, Biggie Smalls would disagree with you because, as a matter of fact, he put a song that said, more money, more problem. Oh, y'all, ain't that what he said? He said, when you got more money, you got more problems. So don't think money is your answer. Let's look at the next indicator. You see, I'm still here. Let's look at the next indicator. Because money doesn't solve your issue. Jesus says you can't serve two masters. Look at the sixth indicator. If money is what motivates you to do what you do, then money may be your master. If money is what motivates you to do what you do, then money may be your master. Now, there's nothing wrong with money. Hear that. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with having money. Hear this. It's the desire or the love for money that creates problems. And we're going to deal with that next in a couple of weeks. Having money is not the problem. It's what people are willing to do to get money is where problems are created. It's when your desire for money will cause you to do something that you shouldn't do. That's when your love for money makes it your master in your life. And so you got to ask yourself, why am I motivated to do what I do? Well, I only do it for a payday. Well, I only show up because I'm going to get paid to show up. Well, I only do what I'm doing, not because I love to do it, but because I know that I get paid every 2 weeks. We was in a room with a room full of educators, teachers. It was not too long ago, and it was a room full of them, living room full of them. And I don't even remember the occasion why we were there, but we were there, and I was listening to these educators talk. And they were schooling individuals about teaching, especially in the public school arena. They were talking about what it's like to deal with the students, what it's like to deal with the parents and administrators. But to a man, they all said the same thing. If you get into teaching for the money, you're getting into it for the wrong reasons. They said if your motivation for teaching is for a check, you might want to find another career. Think about this now. They teach our children. and they understand the significance and importance of teaching and training and bringing up a new generation with knowledge and understanding so that they can be citizens in this country of ours, so they can be productive in this country of ours, but yet they don't get paid like you think they should get paid. This society has set it up where somebody that throws a ball gets paid 20 times more than somebody teaching a child. So when you're teaching, when you're educating, you can't be in it for the money. But God would like to submit that anything you do shouldn't be done for the money. God would like to submit that if you do anything, you should do it not because of a check, but you should do it because it's something that you love to do. It's something that you want to do, you desire to do. Now, understand, a man don't work, he don't eat. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. That's understandable. But don't let everything you do be motivated by money. Your job ain't your source. God is your source. They'll fire you tomorrow. And yet God will take care of you tomorrow. They'll hire you one day and let you go the next. That's why you can't depend on that being your source. Depend on God, and God will always make a way for you. God has never failed you. There are some folks in here right now, you ain't worked in months or years, and yet God still keeps making a way out of no way. God still keeps providing. God still keeps food on your table. There's nobody missing any meals up in here because that's how God works. He wants to prove to you that I'm the one that's your source and not money. Well, the question is, who's your master, God or money? So let's look at this text, Matthew 6:24. Matthew 6:24. Matthew 6:24, because there's a third word we got to deal with. He says, no one can serve two masters. No one can serve two. Catch what serve means. It means to be a slave to. To serve means to be in bondage to. No one can be in bondage to two supreme authorities. No one can serve two gods. No one can be in bondage to two controllers. Because here's what Jesus says. You're going to love one, you're going to hate the other one. You're going to be loyal to one and unloyal to another. So the question is money your God, or is God in heaven your God? So look at this. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. Here's the seventh indicator. Now, do know this about the seventh one. I had to negotiate with God. He won. I just had a negotiation. I said, God, are you sure you want me to say this? He said, boy, say it. And let the chips fall where they may. So he told me to say, if you hate hearing about giving money, but love hearing about receiving money, money may be your God. If you hate hearing messages about tithes and offering, but love hearing sermons about how God gonna bless you, money may be your God. If it turns you off when they say it's tithes and offering time, but you'll fist bump and chest bump when God got a blessing with my name on it, money may be your master. If you do the running man when the check come in the mail, but you're throwing stuff when it comes to tithes and offering, money may be your master. When you're excited when the tax man say you got a tax return coming to you, but you begrudgingly write a tithes or an offering envelope to God, money may be your master. There was a time I didn't want to hear it myself. There was a time when I didn't like it. But God helped me understand something. He said, let me help you put money in perspective. It's going to help somebody. He said, money can't save you. Let me come over here. Money didn't ever deliver you. When you needed encouragement, money didn't encourage you. When you were sick, money didn't heal you. I'm going to come back over here. When they was talking about you, money didn't cover you. When you lost it all, money didn't provide for you because you didn't have money to do it. God said there was only one God that did that for you. That was me in heaven. When you lost this car and you lost that car and God pressed on somebody to bless you with a car, note free, that was me. That wasn't money. When you was about to get kicked out of your apartment or about to get kicked out of your house, it was God that brought the money to you so that you could pay the debt so you could stay in the house you're in. It was money. It was God. It wasn't money that did that for you. So stop thinking that money is the answer to your situation and money is your God, because it isn't. He says, can't serve two masters. You got to make a choice. It's either going to be money or it's going to be God. You're going to wake up. Who wakes up and kneels down and prays to Benjamin? Who, before they lay their head down at night, sings praises to Jackson? I give my glory to God. I give my praise to God. I give my honor to Him. The song said all the glory belongs to Him. Because when I didn't have it, it was God that sustained me. Paul said, I've learned to be abased and abound. He says, I know how to be cool when I have it and cool when I don't have it. Because I know at the end of the day, God's the one that's taking care of me. Who's your master? Is it God or is it money? Who controls you? Do you get up grinding for God or grinding for money? Do you get up with the breath in your body thanking money for that? Or God that has control over the air that we breathe? Because I can promise you, money didn't wake you up. Money didn't watch over you while you were asleep at night. Money didn't stop that fire from happening to your house, but happened down the street. Money didn't prevent that car accident from you being involved in it. Money didn't do that. It was God that did it. So stop. We're going to deal with this in a couple weeks. Stop loving something that can't love you back. Stop desiring something that doesn't desire you back. You don't need money. Money needs you. You're the blessing, not money. Money is just a resource God gives to you to be the blessing that He's already designed you to be. Change your mind about money. Develop a relationship with God in heaven. And then you'll appreciate that it's Him that's been doing it all this time and not money. I promise you, money will disappoint you. Here's proof, and I'm done. We're closing. We're done. I prove to you that money will disappoint you. Most people here know about Facebook. One day, in one day, they lost over $100 billion in value. In one day. Now, here it is. In one day, the value of Facebook dropped by $100 billion because money will disappoint you. If you're dependent on money, it will let you down. But if you depend on God, he will always be there for you. And he will always make a way for you. And he will always heal you. He will always sustain you. He will always take care of you. That's who you need to develop a relationship with. Your relationship with money. Let's give God some praise. Amen.